Guys, Donald Trump is really a strange man.
Just yesterday, I told you in a long episode that the money Gulf leaders gave Trump was political cash. The Gulf leaders were very clear they don't want a war with Iran. They're actually benefiting a lot right now from their relationship with Iran. At the same time, they told Trump they wouldn't allow their military bases to be used for attacks on Iran. On the other hand, Trump praised the Emir of Qatar and even called him the Emir of Iran, saying Iran should be happy to have someone like Qatar's Emir defending them strongly. Honestly, that all made a lot of sense. But suddenly, literally today, it seems Trump declared war on Iran. Just this morning, he basically ended the nuclear negotiations with Iran, and now he's talking about attacking them. What happened? Why this sudden big change? Look, even American writers and Israel supporters say Trump is unpredictable, like a guy with no rules who always changes his path. Today, we're seeing the biggest shift in Trump's policy since his trip to the Gulf. After he came back, he started thinking about attacking Iran and wrecked the ongoing nuclear talks.
In another weird but important development, a strange spy was found inside Hezbollah. Steve Witkoff did a TV interview, and what he said was shocking. Steve Witkoff is Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, and he's also in charge of Russia and Ukraine files. Trump relies on him a lot. Witkoff is leading the US negotiation team with Iran. So Witkoff appeared on TV yesterday. The host asked, "What do you think about the Iran talks? Where do we stand after Trump's Gulf visit?" His answer was really strange. He said, "Let me be very clear. America won't accept uranium enrichment in Iran, not even 1%. That's a firm stance. America won't allow Iran to have a nuclear weapons program." Basically, he was saying, we want to find a solution and think we will, but from their point of view, that's the deal. You might ask, what's the problem? Isn't this just typical US policy? No, it's actually a big flip. Just 1 week ago. Yes, 1 week ago. Witkoff said the opposite. He said the US doesn't mind Iran enriching uranium up to the levels allowed in the old nuclear deal, which was about 3%. Under some conditions, they might discuss enrichment up to 20% or even 60%, but now he refuses even 1%. That's a huge change. The same guy who said before they wouldn't allow any uranium enrichment is now backing off from that.
This change pushed the Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Abbasi to speak out publicly. He said something really surprising, since the talks are now broadcast on TV. Just to be clear, this is his claim, not mine. He said the negotiations are public, and they're now negotiating on live TV about Iran's right to enrich uranium. A right Iran says they earned with blood. When Irakji says Iran paid with blood, he's referring to the assassination of Mossad, the father of Iran's nuclear program, by Israel. According to him, that killing is the price Iran paid. So the idea that Iran would stop uranium enrichment isn't even on the table. Enrichment will continue, with or without talks. So, what are we seeing here? The US and Iran are negotiating openly. The reason things escalated this fast is because of Ardashir's quick, direct response. It took less than an hour or two to respond to Witkoff on the TV show. The response wasn't just quick, it was meaningful. They sent a clear message. We are not negotiating uranium enrichment. He even reaffirmed Iran's commitment to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty from the 1970s, which allows Iran to enrich uranium under international rules. In other words, Ardashir is telling everyone, don't even bring up that topic. Now, why is this dangerous?
Because next week, there's supposed to be an official negotiation session between the United States and Iran in Europe. But these statements and reactions have already undermined those talks before they even started. Another important point: Trump's return. Remember, the last major move on the Iranian nuclear issue happened in Qatar, where the United States gave Iran a written proposal to review. But Iran didn't respond, didn't accept it or reject it. Actually, the Americans are the ones pushing and changing their positions. The United States' tone is very tough. Phrases like, "We won't tolerate this and will respond peacefully or by force" are being said, so it's clear there's a lot of American pressure going on.
Pressure on Iran and the serious talk about its nuclear program, but why now? Is Donald Trump trying to betray the Gulf leaders, like some Israeli media say? Is he backing down and getting close to Netanyahu again? Actually, no. The real problem lies in Trump's own words. While he was in the Gulf, he said Iran's nuclear program is dangerous and that they were very close to getting a nuclear weapon. That's why he wants a quick response from Iran and is pushing for clear answers from the Iranian negotiators. He's trying to draw red lines before the next round of talks, making it clear he won't tolerate delays. He wants the next session to be decisive. Now, to be fair, not everything Steve Witkoff said was totally negative about Iran. In the same show, he left a small door open. He said Iran could keep its nuclear program if it doesn't enrich uranium inside its own territory. Instead, he suggested Iran should import enriched uranium, but he didn't call for dismantling Iran's enrichment facilities, which Netanyahu, through his ally Mike Waltz, the United States National Security Advisor, has been pushing hard for inside the White House. This isn't speculation. The New York Times reported it. Netanyahu has been pushing Waltz to pressure Trump to force Iran to dismantle its uranium enrichment infrastructure, not just nuclear sites but centrifuges and enrichment plants too. Steve Witkoff didn't go that far. He said Iran can import enriched uranium and keep running nuclear reactors like many other countries, as long as they don't enrich uranium locally. This would effectively prevent Iran from making a nuclear bomb, so he closed one door but opened another. Still, Witkoff's aggressive tone triggered a public reaction from Ardashir. He said, "I think this speech is detached from the reality of the negotiations. Iran will continue enriching uranium. If others really care about preventing nuclear weapons, Iran is ready to cooperate, but unrealistic demands won't be met." Also, when these facts came out publicly, pressure on the Iranian government increased from its own people. Why? Because Iran's supreme leader considers the nuclear program untouchable. He might not seek nuclear weapons, but he won't give up the nuclear program itself. So when the United States says, "You're not allowed to enrich uranium on your soil," it puts the Iranian leadership in a bind. If the supreme leader agrees to stop enrichment, it would be seen as a betrayal. A huge betrayal. Trump's words caused big problems inside Iran. So what's the most likely outcome? Honestly, the closest scenario is that Iran won't accept these terms. Abu Ardashir made one of the clearest statements in his tweet, saying uranium enrichment will continue whether there are talks or not, whether a deal is reached or not. It will go on Iranian soil because, as he put it, Iran paid for it with its blood. That's extremely serious. As usual, Donald Trump keeps changing his mind and forces his negotiators to do the same. By the way, Ardashir mentioned that too, saying United States negotiators change their position weekly. That's exactly what he said in his tweet, so this is a big shift. On another note, Trump is facing a huge problem he hasn't solved yet, and it's frustrating him. Lebanon. Why? Because he sees himself as successful in Syria. He gave Bashar al-Assad a chance to lift sanctions, regain effective power, official recognition, and improve his situation. Trump wanted to do the same in Lebanon with Saudi help, but he failed. Why? Because of Hezbollah. Hezbollah, despite existential problems and being close to collapse, is still barely standing. Why barely? Because Israel is fighting Hezbollah, and now even the Lebanese government is stronger than Hezbollah. The government has gained influence over Hezbollah, so the group faces many internal problems. Now Trump sees Iran still holds a destabilizing source, Hezbollah, and blames Iran for it. He thinks he's already succeeded in Syria and Iraq. Iraq now wants to dismantle Shia militias and is taking serious steps. In Yemen, the Houthis stopped military operations and the United States Army somewhat withdrew. So for Trump, Lebanon is the biggest challenge, and he blames Iran for that. Iran doesn't want to negotiate about this either, causing him many problems.
Speaking of Hezbollah and Lebanon, there's a very strange story. There's a religious chanter or reciter linked to Hezbollah, or at least close to them. They say his father held a high position in Hezbollah and was well known, and that his brother was killed fighting with Hezbollah. This guy is very close to the group. Whenever a Hezbollah fighter's body is found, they bring this guy, Muhammad Hadisali, to recite prayers and perform rituals for the deceased. So far, nothing unusual. But suddenly 2 people accused him of fraud, saying he scammed them out of a large sum of money. He's not an ordinary guy. He may seem clever, maybe even cunning, but he's not a real religious figure. Still, the 2 insisted on his arrest. So when he was passing a checkpoint, the police stopped, arrested, and took him to the station. At first he denied everything, saying he didn't cheat anyone. But officers started realizing he was indeed a fraud and had scammed these people. They detained him. When they searched his phone, the real shock came. They discovered he was communicating with Mossad, the Israeli intelligence service. Yes, really. Based on the photos you see, he was visiting Hezbollah missile storage sites and getting close to their military bases, then sending coordinates to Mossad so Israel could strike those places. It turned out one of the religious chanters, the last person you'd suspect, was actually a spy. But it gets worse. Mohammed Hadisali was pictured, based on the photos I saw, with many top Hezbollah figures, all of whom were later assassinated. He probably used those photos to help Mossad identify and eliminate them. He was paid over $23,000 by Mossad, although the exact amount hasn't been confirmed yet because payments were made in cryptocurrencies, making them hard to track. This amount is way bigger than the $500 to $2,000 usually paid to spies near the southern border during the recent Israeli attack. So this is a huge revelation. He's not a religious figure at all. His father wasn't a Hezbollah leader. His brother wasn't killed in battle. It was all lies. His whole backstory was fabricated. No one knows how he convinced the Lebanese public he was a religious chanter. Was Mossad the one who trained him? Was he just a skilled manipulator? Nobody knows, but what's sure is that he infiltrated Hezbollah and convinced them he was a religious man, a spiritual figure, a praying guy with a beard playing the part. In reality, he had nothing to do with religion. He didn't know the Quran. He was a complete fraud.
Finally, let me leave you with some important questions. Do you think this is Trump's new negotiation tactic with Iran? Publicly declaring uranium enrichment must stop in Iran, something that could endanger the nuclear talks. Is this really negotiation language, or is it just a red line Trump is drawing for Iran? Personally, I don't think it's negotiation language. I think it's a clear warning. Trump is drawing red lines. He's telling Iran, if you hope to keep your uranium enrichment program in any future deal, forget it. Trump thinks Obama made a huge mistake letting Iran enrich uranium under the nuclear deal, and he doesn't want to repeat that mistake. I also think Trump came back stronger after his Gulf trip. He got the money and support, everything, and in the coming period, you'll likely hear bolder statements from him about the Middle East than before. Before his Gulf trip, Trump was probably softer. He even showed some disagreements with Netanyahu and tried to present himself as someone not against Arabs. But now, after the trip, you'll see a different Trump. A guy you wouldn't expect because, as Americans say, he doesn't follow any script. I hope I made everything clear for you. And before I finish the video, I just want to thank you all for your ongoing support with likes and comments. It really helps the channel grow and reach more people. Thank you so much.